So welcome back to part 3, our final part. And as you know, Brian Holliday, Managing Director of Siemens Digital Industries, is joining me today. So, Brian, you mentioned growth earlier, in the earlier parts of the podcast. Area that I like to sort of touch with you is about skills. Skills for individuals, early learning, this area. Please, can you sort of elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, it's one of the, as I'm sure all of you listening to this that have, and customer conversations, it's one of the most common topics raised, certainly by customers and definitely at a senior level. It's the shortage of skills in particular feeding into engineering and manufacturing roles that's been of concern to us for some time. And partly it's a UK peculiarity that we're sort of driving 50% of young people into university. These aren't necessarily STEM subject or engineering degrees. And so, it's incredibly important to me. I'm a former apprentice. I started my career with Texas Instruments in Bedford in 1986. But I really valued my apprenticeship, my vocational learning route. Yeah. And I've been a proud supporter of vocational learning, apprenticeships and internships and, graduate programs that put academic learning along with applied experience. So it's been incredibly important to me in my career. And I feel Siemens has been a good company for standing up to say what we think is right in this space. We now have across our organisation 500 apprentices, including our mobility organisation. So we've consistently invested in the last few years in our own early career programmes. But I'm equally proud that we've tried to not only train apprentices for other organisations, but also tried to put together programmes that have helped to introduce a digital thread, for example, into 10 key universities here in the UK through connected curriculum. So students that get an actual hands-on experience with our software to design a product and process, our automation technology, and cloud technologies that to help extract and exploit data in our Insights Hub. So these are really practical hands-on opportunities we're giving to the students through 10 universities to bring them into world of work ready to contribute. So, that's just a flavour of some of the things that we're doing. One of the things that I've always been struck by is that you need to start early if you're to convince people about the role that engineers play in society. And we always reckoned it was before they'd become accustomed to use of the word engineer. You needed to start when they were just curious. I think we ran a whole curiosity project some years ago to support, Engineering UK, the Big Bang, with world skills and various things. But one of the recent developments that we've been able to support is Jamie Ashball, who runs JJA Pack over in Rochdale. He's invested this year, and we've been able to support him in a chocolate factory for kids, and working in chocolate and food production as he has. He had a dream to build a chocolate factory that would enable school children to come along and find out about ingredients. Where are they sourced? How do they come together in a manufacturing and a production process? How do you make chocolate? And some of the technology behind the heating, the cooling, the ultimate, its impact on its ultimate product quality after you formed it, but wrapping and packing. And it's a great opportunity to bring kids in to understand, what manufacturing technology does. And they can see it remotely through Insights Hub as well to see what's going on with the production line after they've perhaps been and built or made a chocolate bar of their own. So I love that we're trying to think about early career things like, JJA Snack, virtual work experience, developing interest in sort of schools and then translating that into the sorts of things that we do that help support apprenticeship and graduate programs as well.
I'm glad you qualified that, because when you first said around children in chocolate factories, A, Willy Wonka come to my mind, but then B, I thought we're going back to child labour again. It's a long time ago. It
wasn't lost on the local Rochdale paper, I think, that Jamie was identified as the Willy Wonka of the. But no, I've seen the smiles on the kids' faces in that environment, and there's some great imagery actually of just exactly that. Seeing how engaging a food topic can be when it comes to the importance of, well, guess what, engineering and manufacturing technology that's so fundamental to life.
Yes. Yeah, it's not just there's my chocolate bar in the hand, it's how it's got there, etc. It has interest to it. I mentioned in part one that you're a doctor. So
Yes.
Would you like to elaborate before you get an influx of people wanting to, leg operations, replace an arm or a hip or something, please?
I did smile. I've had various friends who've called me doc for many years, but no, I didn't. I didn't go down the conventional PhD route. I was invited about 18 months ago to become a doctor of the university by Middlesex University, actually, which is recognition, I guess, of my contribution to industry. And it was a day. I was very proud to have my family there and a chance to deliver a speech at the university with a very big red hat and gown. It was very hot. But no, a real proud moment in my life. And then, of course, being gifted, that honour means that you can, of course, call yourself, doctor of the university. So it's a D-Univ. There you go.
Right. Okay. I don't want to make this all just about Siemens. A bit about yourself as well. So what do you do? I mean, how do you unwind is the word I'd like to ask, because what you explained earlier on in episodes 1 and 2, and your involvement in government and, being the managing director of Siemens DI. I mean, how do you sort of say, whoa, just take a step back for a minute, please?
Yeah. Look, I get energised by people around me, and, that's been the case here at Siemens for many years. Yeah. And, I've been here 31 years, and I see so many people I've worked with right across that time, and the same is true in the partner network, actually. Yeah. We had the wonderful opportunity to say, all the best to Paul Corley last week, who, of course, with Underwoods had been there. I've worked with him my whole 31 years here at Siemens. Right. And I love that. I love the length of those relationships, the people I'm working with who are very, very capable. Mm-hmm. And that energizes me. That does not feel like a chore in any way. So I've never been one to get up in the morning and think, work today. I bounce out of bed and I'm generally, in feeling great. What problems do we get to tackle today? Yeah. I do think, however, especially given we are now so much more accessible, and we're expected to do so much more, and I'm thinking post-pandemic in particular, we're jumping from, a live meeting, a Teams meeting to the next. It's enabled us to take on many, many more topics. And I've given you an example of sort of, a number of external roles I hold in addition to being at Siemens. And it's made possible because I don't travel to all of them. I don't jump on a train to London to go do, an hour's meeting in the middle of the day. I can add it on. But I think what's key is being able to compartmentalize and say, well, that's important for that moment. And that's how I cope, is knowing that I can park something mentally until I'm at a point where I need to give it focus. And the key for me is putting in the preparation time that I know I'll need, and I know it's in the diary, and then mentally I can park it, and then I can come to that. Mm-hmm. So I think being able to switch off at home is tied in with being able to know that you've got, what you've what you need to do at work reasonably organised. So I'm ruthlessly, focused on productivity tools, using Outlook, using notes. I dictate things rather than type them, so that I'm highly productive. But I think most importantly, I try and organise my diary so that I know exactly what that I'm able to think about things at the time that I can impact them. When I'm home, though, I've played squash for the last 25 years, badly, but most enjoyably. And I'm playing in a match on Thursday, and that sort of thing with people I've known in the long term has been brilliant. I've recently been doing some scuba diving again, which I started in university. I was a secretary of the scuba club, and I've thoroughly enjoyed that. A wreck dive with friends in Portugal and so on. And I just love being outdoors. I love being at the coast. Yeah, the coast. And I guess like many, or if you're at lakes, rivers, and the sea, they just have a calming effect on your mental health as well. And I think for me that's been incredibly important, to spend time with family and friends in places that help you unwind as well. So I'd say it's a combination of all of those things.
Right, okay. So we're coming to the end of our first podcast, part 3. I'd like to say thank you very much for being very honest and open with us, giving us a great insight into Siemens and, things that you do and the world that's going on, and sort of also promoting, for me personally, from a partner perspective, where I'm responsible for, showing the value and collaboration that's needed and required. One last thing, is there any question you'd like to ask me before we disappear?
Oh, goodness.
If not, don't worry. It's not a problem.
Well, I say I could equally ask you who's going to be at your dinner party, as you did for me in episode 1.
Yeah, exactly, yes. Martin Luther King.
Oh, wow, yes.
Because I'd really like to sort of talk to him about what he went through. Elvis Presley.
Yep.
Just a bit of entertainment.
Absolutely entertaining.
Yeah. Blimey, you've got me on the spot now, haven't you?
It's not easy, is it?
No, it's not. I wish I never asked you the question now. Marie Curie.
Yep.
I'd like to talk to her as well, just having a little bit of different areas. And I think I need someone that's alive as well, wouldn't we, really, to be good for it. I'd like Ryan Reynolds.
Yep. He'd be a character.
So there you go. That's my 4 as well. So you watch me get told off for that now. But there you are. That's who I'd like. Thank you very much. So, Brian, thank you very much for this. Most appreciated. Thank you for joining me for the inaugural one.
No, you're absolutely welcome. And look, thank you for the opportunity. And, for those of you still listening at the end of episode 3, thank you. I hope there's been 1 or 2, insights there that might prompt you to perhaps go and find out a little bit more or ping me an email if you want to ask me a question on the back of anything I've said here. But can I just finish with a thank you to you, our partners in particular, because, and I've already said in the given the previous questions, how much I value the personal relationships that we've got and have built over many years. But just, that partnership translating into business in a meaningful way, what you do for us, we do value it. And I do think we are stronger when we work together. We've got differentiated strengths that we take to market. And so, look, just thank you for when you get out of bed in the morning, you're at work and you're thinking, how can I work with the Siemens team or, promote a Siemens product or a Siemens solution, in the course of what you do. We really appreciate it. And I just want to leave, or finish by saying thank you. We appreciate your business.
Okay. Well, Brian, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for that great insight. And everybody, this is our first ever podcast. So can you hopefully join us on podcast number 2 with Paul Hingley? If you've liked what you've heard from this podcast, please share this, promote this, like this, pass the podcast on to anybody you feel that would value have listened to it. So thank you very much for your time and speak to you soon. Bye-bye.